Take me back to a year ago from now. We're so used to having games and events postponed or even canceled at this point. It's become the norm, but it wasn't the norm. It was very new this time last year. How tough was that decision for you and your staff to make the call to cancel the remainder of the Big 12 tournament? And what do you remember about your emotions at the time? Because I remember seeing your press conference and everybody was just visibly shaken on the decisions that had to be made.
Yeah, well, I don't think any of us had any particular preparation. Certainly hadn't been through anything like this prior to last year, and I think at that time there was very little information as to what the virus really was. I mean, were we actually going to risk people's health by playing the games and by having fans in the stands? And as you recall, we played the Wednesday evening games, and then Thursday morning, we were just about ready to go on the court with the 11 o'clock game, and decided that instead of going with smaller crowds, which we had decided to do overnight, we were going to have to cancel altogether. And, I think ultimately it was the right decision. We were subsequently on some calls with Vice President Pence and the coronavirus task force group. And they said on the call that generally speaking, college basketball probably saved a lot of lives by canceling these events, because at that time we weren't wearing masks. We didn't know how the virus was transmitted. And had we gone through the conference tournaments and the NCAA tournaments with normal type crowds, we likely would have had super spreader events that we were at that time very ill prepared to handle.
Yeah. In January and February, if you had COVID issues on a team, you're likely to postpone a game and most likely make it up. Not anymore, right? Your season's done if you have COVID issues there in the postseason. In a time where restrictions are being not lifted, but maybe eased up in a lot of places around the country, how much more extra vigilant do these teams and leagues need to be here in these next 3 or 4 weeks?
Well, we've been testing at least 3 times a week all season, and so we've also been encouraging social distancing and wearing masks, and even on our benches, we've kept people apart. We're going to continue to do that. I think that's still known as best practice, and we want to make sure that we go the extra mile to make sure that everybody is safe. And so I don't know that the fact that we're going to be testing every day necessarily causes us to not wear masks and not socially distant and not to pay attention to best practices. I just think that it's for a group of young people that really want to keep playing and want to move from our conference tournament into the NCAA tournaments. We're still very well advised to be cautious, and I think we'll do that. Health and safety continues to be first and foremost, and there are some signs that we're getting to a better place as a society, and certainly we haven't had any instances of transmission that we know of within the athletic environment. But it's still good to be safe, and I think you'll see those safety precautions implemented during the course of the tournament.